Hello, welcome. It's welcome to Sports and Songs Podcast. We're on season 3, episode number 45. We're your hosts, Dan and Andy. Andy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Today is October 24th, 2022, and I am wearing my Phillies cap. We'll bring it up later, but the Phillies are going to the World Series. Good news for Phillies fans. Good news for those people who hate the Yankees because they're not going.
Yeah. And they got swept again. That's too bad.
So that's a good way to look at it. Astros and Phillies. We have 4 days off here before the World Series even starts, but I'm here on vacation up in Montana. So I'm going to tie our trivia question, Andy, with a trivia question that relates to Montana college football.
Yes. Go ahead. What's the question?
The question, the football team, Montana State, broke a collegiate Division I record this weekend with the number of safeties in a single game. The number of safeties recorded in a single game at a Division I level. What is that record number?
How many safeties? Okay.
Yeah, we don't need to know now, but
all right,
think about it. They broke a record. Very strange, odd record, but they broke the record nonetheless. So we'll come back, answer that at the end of the show, but let's get started with some high school football.
Yeah, I want you to flip me onto my scroll here, my stuff. And there we go. There's our nice logo. Minnesota State High School League does have some of their section playoffs going now. So to get too excited to say state tournaments, these are still section tournaments. And we're not going to hit all of the sections because there's, 6 brackets, 8 sections per bracket. So we're just going to hit some of our fan favorites here.
Okay.
There's Section 2, 1A, Lester Prairie, the 1 seed going against Cleveland. These are games tomorrow, actually. Tuesday because of MEA and everything else. These are all games tomorrow. Then you see Mare Lutheran is the 2 seed in the other bracket. So very well could be Mare Lutheran and Lester Prairie in the finals if the seedings hold up correctly. 1A Section 6, there's New York Mills is the 1 seed going against Underwood High School.
Okay.
And you see Lake Park is the 6 seed over there on the other side. Pine River back is the 2 seed. 3A Section 2, odd number of teams here. So Dassel gets the bye. And they play the winner of Rockford Richfield. And then Watertown Mare being the 2 seed, they got Holy Family Catholic, and then they play the winner of Providence Glencoe Silver Lake. So there's that. My opinion, this is kind of a small soapbox thing. I'll use this example here. Not everybody needs to make the section playoffs. Top 4 teams are fine.
Yep, I agree. I would gladly join that.
Making it.
I would gladly join the soapbox with you there too, because now football is in a different category where they include everybody. Yep. As with every sport, everyone makes the sections when they decide to do this. But boy, in football, these teams that are 0-7, 1-7, 0-8 at this point, they do not want to play another game against the number 1 seed. They're not interested. They're not interested in doing that. Now, for the teams that's a 2 or a 3 or a 4 seed that maybe had their best guy hurt for several weeks, they can come back now in the playoffs and make a run. This is fun for those guys, but we don't need everyone in. Now, for the listeners that are new, this is single elimination, so you lose, you're out. Most fans know that already for high school football, but it's single elimination, so these go fairly quickly.
And no offense to Glencoe or Litchfield or Holy Family, but it was a nice season. Let's make it just 4 teams and go.
Yep. Agreed.
4A Section 2, Hutch the 1 seed, and they'll get the bye. They'll play the winner of Jordan St. Peter. The other half of the bracket, Marshall the 2 seed gets a bye. They get Wilmer and Faribault winner. Then 5A Section 2, Mankato West gets the bye. The Chaska is the 4 seed in New Prague 5. Chan gets a bye. They play the winner of Waconia and Mankato East. Here, Boys soccer, the final seedings, they have started their sections too. And again, with like football, everybody makes it. The sections are even worse than in football, folks. I'm not even going to try to go to the Minnesota State High School League, look at the brackets for sections, and you'll understand why I'm not putting them up. Let's put the final rankings here. 3A, Stillwater was first, Maple Grove 2, Tonka at 7. 2A, boys, Hill Murray 1, Orono 2. Academy of Holy Angels, the Stars, at number 10. And 1A, Holy Family 1, Southwest Christian 2. Breck 9. I'm sorry, Southwest Christian, great school, but your logo looks like it's like a trucking company logo or something all the time. I keep thinking of that.
Yeah.
Gals soccer, 3A, Wayzata, Rosemont, Stillwater, Tonka, your top 4. Now, they list 11 and 12 written here because their notes on it were Mounds View, Champlain Park, and White Bear Lake, technically all 3 tied for 10th, but they listed it as 11 and 12th, so give them their fair love. I don't want no hate mail. 2A, there's Monmedi, the Stars of Academy of Holy Angels 2. Benilde St. Margaret's at 3. And the 1A gals, Minnehaha Academy, Providence Academy, Holy Family Girls. Breck 4. St. Croix Lutheran, Southwest Christian. There's your girls, 1A. Missouri Valley football. We're one big family in the Missouri Valley. There's the top 4. The Bison had a bye week, so that's why the total games are off there. They play next Saturday at home against Illinois State. You see they're tied with Illinois State in the ranking or in the conference. But the Big 5 rankings down there, it's still South Dakota State, Montana State, Sacramento State at 3, Bison at 4, and Jackson State jumps up from 6 to 5.
And now keep in mind Montana State there at number 2. We'll get to this back to that trivia question, how important that trivia answer will be. But continue on.
Yep, there we go. NSIC, Northern Sun. The Beavs, 4-0 in the conference, or in the division, 6-2 in the conference, because they beat the Bulldogs last week, 41-16 to take that lead. The rest of their schedule looks, I'm not going to get cocky like the Yankees did in the playoffs and say it's an easy schedule. You still got to play the games. 2 of the 3 are on the road, so the Beavs need to hold on and stay strong. Yeah, they broke the tiebreaker by beating Duluth, but they got to stay ahead of them now. So, and in Division 2, they kind of have your super regions 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there's the Beavers making it in Super Region 4. Third one down there, Bemidji State, 6-2. Go Beavs. The Gophers lost to Penn State 45-17. It's kind of not going to pick up.
A very interesting turn of events there, keeping it fairly close in the first half and then completely falling apart. Andy, I don't know if it's appropriate, but it was embarrassing, I would say.
Yeah, and I'm not ripping on the kid at quarterback. Nope, you're good enough to play Division 1. I don't care if you're a freshman or a senior, you play. And he held it going to start with. I don't know if he got tired, if what happened, if the defense just fell asleep or what, but just Penn State just made that third quarter and made the Gophers their bitch that quarter.
And I agree. We can't point the finger at the quarterback. He's the backup, and it is what it is. But the Gophers' defense is one of the best in the nation, and it was a sieve on Saturday night. A sieve.
It was a full
stop anything. Effort. So forget the quarterback. I don't know if it was coaching or what. If they did not look good, and now going into the bowl playoffs and everything else, Gophers are hurting.
And this was the national game on ABC that night too.
Oh yes, it was huge.
Right now, I saw projections over the weekend. They have the Gophers slated right now playing in the Pinstripe Bowl in Yankee Stadium against Duke. So I can't think of 6 people who are going to watch that game. But
now I'm going to be talking, Andy, with a friend of mine who went to the game, a Minnesota fan who who currently now lives in Pennsylvania, got tickets to go to this game and could not wait. Now, I'm going to pick his brain this week, and for next week's show, I want to see what it was like, actually being there in the crowd, and it should be very interesting.
Yeah. I said that third quarter, that was a full team effort to give up 21-0. That was offense, defense, everybody helped. Here's some other Gopher rankings. Women's volleyball, Gophers are 9th. And there's just all the Big Ten schools in there. Gophers are 9. I mean, look at that. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the top 12, and then Michigan receiving votes. So good job, ladies. Hockey rankings. Gals on the left, boys on the right. Gophers are 2 for the gals, 1 for the men. And that's just because Ohio State keeps winning 2, or else they'd be up there. But Ohio State, Minnesota, Wisconsin for the women. Boom, boom, boom. Then the boys' side, Minnesota, St. Cloud State, top 2. Bemidji State Beavs for hockey, 1-0-1 in the conference, 2-1-1 overall. Yeah, it's early, but first place is first place, baby.
Wow.
Players of the week for the CCHA, where the Beavs play. Got the rookie and the goalie this week for the Beavs. And their big wins. Here's the write-up on it. Rhodey, the native of White Bear Lake, Minnesota, scored 3 of the Beavers' 7 goals over the weekend. Their goalie Scholes from California. A California goalie, Dan.
Interesting. Hermosa Beach.
Yes.
How rare is that?
So there's their scores for over the weekend. A win against Michigan State was a receiving votes school. So we beat them 5-2. The Beavers beat them 5-2. And this was at Michigan too. And then they won in the shootout, a 2-2 tie, but won in the shootout. So they went there and took their lunch money and went home, Dan, as we say in business. Here's the rest of their schedule. They got number 2, St. Cloud State, and then Ferris State. So St. Cloud State, the games still count. They're not in the conference, so that's okay. That'll be a big test. Home and home there with the Huskies. They'll be at the Bemidji Friday, then they travel down south, as we say, to St. Cloud State. And they're home against Ferris State the next weekend. Here's the gals hockey. WCHA, there's really no Big Ten, no CCHA, just a handful of teams all in there. And there's the Beavs down at the bottom, 0-6. St. Thomas is 0-4. 2-7 overall. So that goals against for the Beavs, though. They've played 10 games. They've given up 46 goals. So makes for a long year. And the remaining schedule, Minnesota State and St. Cloud State. Now, I'm not making excuses for the gals. You look at their record, 2-7 overall. They started the year with 2 games against number 10 Clarkson. They've played 2 against the Gophers, who are ranked number 2. Ohio State, who was ranked number 1, and Wisconsin, who's ranked number 5. So they haven't exactly played cream puffs and been losing. They've been playing the big dogs, but that's a tough way to start the season.
Yeah, that should all even out.
Played already.
It'll even out here in a month or 2. We'll see those guys back. But, boy, the numbers do not look good.
Yeah, you start out, and it just takes the wind out of your sails, too. You start off against the big 3 like that. Like I said, here's our schedule, Minnesota State and St. Cloud State. Coming up next couple weekends. NASCAR, here's the 4 that are in right now. There's 8 guys still in the playoffs with 1 race to go. After this next race, it's the top 4. Now, Logano's in because he won. Chastain's got a 19-point lead, Chase Elliott 11, and William Byron a 5-point lead. If it was over now, these 4 would advance to the final race. Now, here's the bottom 4 sitting out. Like I said, Denny Hamlin's 5 out, Ryan Bingley 18 out, Bell 33 out, and Chase Briscoe 44 out. Now, you see on the bubble, I put both Chase Elliott and William Byron there. Yeah, William Byron, he's the 4th guy. That's 5 points. That's close. But the reason I throw Chase in there too, that's 11 points. But you know what? Like last week, Larson won, and he's not in the finals, so that didn't affect anything. But say Christopher Bell wins this next race, he qualifies. That drops William Byron down and puts Chase Elliott 6 points out. So there's a 6-point lead between those 2 also. So he's got to stay ahead of William Byron. He's not safe at all by any means. So, like I said, here's the results from last week. Kyle Larson winning this Sunday. They're at Martinsville. Then after that, the top 4 go on. Phoenix Raceway. Sunday, November 6th for the championship. There's your World Series bracket. The number 6 seed out of 6 teams, the Philadelphia Phillies, are your National League representative. And the Astros, or as the Yankees like to call them, Daddy, the number 1 seed, is the other one. So the number 1 seed, second best record in all of baseball against the 6th seed, who the 6th seed does not back in Major League Baseball. They had that spot locked up pretty good, but still. I got the Astros in 5.
I'm going with the Phillies, Andy, in 6 games.
Wow. And we talked about Dusty Baker, manager of the Astros. He does have one ring as a player, but I'd like to see him get that ring as a manager.
It's interesting. Now, my wife's rooting for Dusty Baker and the Astros. Now, like you said, he's never got the big game. A lot of wins, a lot of playoff appearances, but as a manager, never won the series. So she's looking for them to pull it out. I got a feeling that we get a lot of these postseasons where the seeds, or the seeding, should I say, it doesn't really matter. You get a bunch of these upsets. It's going to be tight, but Phillies may have the edge. I don't know. It's all a crapshoot, but boy, Houston looked tough.
Yeah, the way they went to New York and just let I heard that 4th game in New York, like right before game time, tickets were going for $20 a shot. People just gave up and didn't want to go. The fans just took their ball and went home.
Yep.
All right. Got to talk about some rumors.
Oops.
There is a rumor right there, off-season trade, that man could be a New York Met next year.
Oh, really?
Here's the scuttlebutt from Danny Alberino of Sports New York TV, SNY TV. Here's what he's reporting. Okay, first of all, if this happens, that would definitely mean DeGrom's gone. You cannot afford Scherzer, DeGrom, and Ohtani. No. And so DeGrom would be gone if Ohtani came in.
Yep.
Period. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'd love to see DeGrom with the Mariners.
Oh, yeah.
He's go elsewhere. If he went there with that nice young team, I'd love to see that. Some of the guys coming up for trade for the Mets they're bringing up. One name they said was Alvarez, the catcher. He's our number 1 prospect. That ain't happening. That's not going to happen. The other 3 would be Brett Batty, the number 18 prospect, third baseman. He was up for a couple weeks and got hurt. I like him. He's a big stud, third baseman. 12th pick in the 2019 draft. Kevin Parada, the number 37 prospect for the Mets, catcher. He was the 11th pick in this last year's draft. And then Alex Ramirez, the number 85 prospect. He was signed as a free agent in 2019. That's where those guys are. Ohtani, just so you know, a little history on him. He's been in the States. He's played here 4 years since 2018 with the Angels. Before that, from 2013 to 2017, he was with the Nippon Ham Fighters in Japanese baseball. The thing is, though, because of the events this last year, Mr. Ohtani would not be able to wear number 17 because the Mets retired that number.
Okay.
That was Keith Hernandez's number.
Yes.
He did wear number 11 when he was in Japan. And no one currently has that number, so he would be able to take that. Tim Tuffle wore it with the 86 Mets, but I think Tuffle's a coach, AAA or Major League level. He's been bouncing back and forth. I think he'd give up his number 11 for Ohtani if he wanted it. Yeah, you're a big deal, Showtime, or whatever they want to call you, but you know what? Mex just got his number retired. He ain't giving it to you. Don't hold your breath, pal. So that ain't happening. That is not happening to him at all, sir. And that is what I got for my stuff on sports. Now, I suppose every team has their own Ohtani trade scenario. But here's the Mets one. I think if he did go there, like they're all saying, DeGrom is gone for sure. Another big name free agent pitcher who's out there this year after this, Justin Verlander.
Cy Young.
Yeah, could have another ring on his hand. I think personally, Aaron Judge, they said at the beginning of the year, he's not going to sign. He wants to prove himself this year. He hit 62 home runs, and it's another argument for another day. Oh, he just made himself a whole bunch of money on that. The way he crapped the bed this last weekend, he threw away about $20 million a year, I think. Because they all tried to hit the 5-run home run in that Yankee series. Get some base hits, boys. What I'd rather have a guy bat 320 and get 3 home runs a year than 62 home runs and a 270 batting average. I'll take the 320 average every day.
But he had 130 ribbies or something like that.
Don't care.
It's a lot.
You're batting 320. They're going to put guys on ahead of you, or you're going to score runs because you're on base a lot. I'll take a Tony Gwynn, a Wade Boggs. I'll take those guys every day of the week. Mattingly, I'll take those guys every day of the week. I'll take them over McGuire and Sosa and Alex Rodriguez and Judge. I'll take the for average guy every day of the week.
Yeah, it's true. Well, he's going to demand a lot. It'll be very interesting. What happens to Judge? What happens to the Yankees? What happens to the manager? Aaron Boone. Now, are they even going to keep him?
Him and the GM, I hear, might both be gone.
Wow.
Mattingly could have a job. The Yankees finally give him a shot at manager. Don Mattingly.
Now, did the Rangers sign Bruce Bochy?
Yes, they signed Bochy.
Okay, I saw that today.
So they got one. So that's done. Bochy's out of the mix. Mattingly's going to be out there. We're sticking with our manager here, so we're fine. They're not changing that yet. We'll see. We'll see not only players, there's going to be some managers switching hats this year too, I think.
It'll be interesting to see. The hot stove this off season should be very interesting.
Yes. A lot of, I think because, like I said, you get the Ohtani trade with DeGrom, if the Mets do a sign-in trade, or if they sign him, if they don't get Ohtani or one of the big names, a guy like, Ohtani, like I said, he played for 5 years in Japan already. Before here, that's 9 years under his belt already. He did just come up these last 2 years like we've heard of him. So he's not that he's long in the tooth, but he's got 9 years under his belt already. So
it's also, you bring the fans in the seats, you bring that guy in, the
jersey
electricity,
sales, the marketing. Right. I'm just saying, don't sign him anymore in 4 years is what I'm trying to get at. I wouldn't. Yeah. If I was the Mets, I'd only sign DeGrom to a couple years, because if we do need to get rid of him, people aren't going to want to eat that contract. So if I was the Mets, you only signed DeGrom for a couple years, maybe. A couple years, like at $70 million, some huge amount, but only 2 years. So if you do have to get rid of him at the trade deadline, or just it starts having arm issues again or something, you're not eating too much.
It's true. It'll be interesting. And like you said earlier, it'll be interesting to watch Seattle. I think it'll be interesting to watch Oakland A's, another young team, what these guys do in the offseason.
I'd watch Pittsburgh too. Pittsburgh's got a nice young shortstop. They got I like Pittsburgh in the next 3 years to be making some noise. Seattle really impressed. Baltimore, who just missed the playoffs, they go to pick up. Say they get DeGrom.
Oh,
you can stand the East Coast there. DeGrom going to the American League, because it used to be the big deal when the pitcher switched leagues. Well, no one's ever saw him. Well, you see each division now every other year, so some people have seen DeGrom, but I think if he came to the American League, he could still be just a stud.
It'll be interesting to see here in the offseason what all goes on. Now, should we do the trivia answer?
The trivia answer, Montana State football.
Montana State football broke a record for the number of safeties in a single game that their defense performed. And what do you think that record was in a single game, Andy?
Well, I know in week 1, Iowa had 2 in a game against South Dakota State. So I'll say 3 then.
Yeah, and 1 and 2 are very, I think, common over the years. and you're right, 3, but you're not right. But the record, it was 3 coming in. They had 4, I repeat, 4 on Saturday, 4 safeties in a single game. Now, Montana State's ranked second in the nation, and they only won by, I think, 5 or 6 points. 5 points?
Yep, and 8 points on safeties. So
8 points on safeties catapulted them to the win.
How many times do you have a team pinned back enough to have a chance at 4 safeties in a game, let alone get them?
Usually, it's never even. You may have that one.
The 2 that Iowa got, like, how often do you get that chance for 2? You pin it back within the 5-yard line twice in a game,
And sometimes they do it to themselves. They step out, the punter steps out accidentally, and you get a safety without trying. But 4,
a bad snap or rolls back or something.
In a single game. And this is Montana State. So they won by 5 points, 8 points on safeties. They're number 2 ranked team in the state, in the nation. That would have been a huge upset if they didn't get the safeties. So that's the record. It's 4 in a single game. Now, I don't see that being beat. I don't think ever, but
I never thought 3 would get beat.
It's one of those odd circumstances. It's like a batter in baseball getting hit by a pitch 5 times in a single game. Most guys don't even come to the plate 5 times. So it's hard to even have the scenario happen for safeties in a game. But it's something like that. It's an oddity. Now, what I've got for sports, now we got the Major League Baseball coming up. World Series, 7 games, best of 7 starts Friday, nothing before then. Everything else in baseball is basically shut down. The Twin Cities Fall League just ended yesterday for baseball. There's teams that are down in Arizona. We'll be starting to hear reports when they come back in the next 2 weeks of how these Minnesota players and Minnesota teams did down in the Arizona amateur baseball tournament, because they're playing against teams from all over the nation. And once again, the tournament in Florida, Fort Myers, was canceled altogether. So once these guys get back, we'll hear some more on amateur baseball here in the Twin Cities. And then we'll be doing a hot stove edition somewhat with the updating for next season, the changes, the class, the teams, the playoffs, the postseason. We'll be talking about some of those, but basically that's it for baseball. World Series, Philly, it'll be chilly. Those home games in Philly could be downright cold. And then Houston, of course, is down south. So they ran into the situation at Minute Maid Park where they didn't want to open the roof.
They did. They closed for the first game, opened for the second. And the Yankees did not like that.
They didn't want it, and I don't think even Houston wanted it. And they had to get the commissioner and the league officials on the phone with Houston to say, you have to have the roof open sometimes. That was part of the deal when you sent us this big request for money to get a multi-use stadium with a retractable roof, which is so expensive. We know it's hot in the summer in Houston. Fine, keep it closed. But this is late October. It's lovely outside, and they still wanted it closed. So that's very interesting too. But I know I would, as a fan, want to have that thing open this fall time. It'd be awesome. But no, they had it closed. Yeah. And now there's superstitions with that as well. We've had a better record when it's closed. We don't do too well when it's open. It's things like that. But
get over it.
It's odd. But baseball will be wrapping up here. By the time we do the show next week, we'll have some results.
Yeah, we might have games 6 and 7 going on yet. Yeah.
It'll be close to being done. And, football, the NFL right now, Andy, not much going on. Vikings had a bye week. It's the same. We don't, for us, I think on the show, the NFL is becoming more like the NBA more and more. There's just not much to talk about. I don't want to get into the drama and everything, but we would like to focus on college and the stuff here.
I don't have the guy's name. I can't remember offhand, but I did put on social media that the Vikings did have a player arrested though this week. So
they did.
Yes. Yeah. So they kept their name in the headlines there.
They have the lead for most arrests over the last 5-year period, I believe.
Yep. So they're keeping go team.
The Packers are losing. The Vikings are winning and doing well, but
happy for them. Don't get me wrong. Just I could report. I'd be reading just the score because I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Do we play fantasy football? Yes. But to me, like I've said before, I saw the guy today. To me, playing fantasy football is a lot like watching the stock market. All those companies selling a lot of stuff, but their stock is still doing cruddy. How many guys in fantasy football, you got your quarterback, he's doing great on your fantasy team, but he's doing awesome in fantasy football, but his real team stinks, or vice versa. Carson Wentz, until he got hurt last week, was my quarterback. I was doing great with him. They were 3-3 or 2-3, but he was doing good in fantasy numbers. So you can't compare the winning players to the winning fantasy football team, guys. So
yeah, and they are
see who's doing well and go from there.
They are pushing a lot on the shows too, the nationwide shows, as far as the fantasy players, the top picks, who to look for, who to play, who to bench, who to sit, who to start, and all the gambling ads. It's just too much to watch with all of this gambling promotion on the NFL. It's very strange.
Nothing against gambling, but I'm not. That's not why I'm watching. I'm not watching to see what the odds are. Fox will do that to baseball games too. Oh, the odds are this now. Don't care. Really don't care. And I don't care if this replay was brought to me by Progressive Insurance either. I don't care.
Yeah,
unless it's brought to me by Ryan Handgardner, State Farm Insurance. I don't want to hear about it.
Bingo.
There we go.
But that's all I've got for sports here this week. We'll see y'all next week with some World Series, results and then some college football.
At least the start is Friday, so the first weekend in. Yeah.
High school football is going to be big next 2-3 weeks here. Coming up to Thanksgiving, it's going to be what we're going to be focusing on.
Yep, football and volleyball and soccer, high school tournaments, basketball starting soon in the next few weeks. So
wrestling,
high school hockey. Go teams.
All right, sounds good. See you next week.
See you, bye.